Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. Earlier this evening I had the pleasure of playing a game with the private Aeternant, 2v2 on Highway to Seoul, and I figured I'd, put that up, show you guys what we got up to, how the game went, everything like that. It's a relatively short game, at 17 minutes total, including deployment time of roughly 3.5, and I do just want to say as well, we should be able to start having the 2v2s from the tournament going up on the channel. So there's couple of those being played tomorrow. There's a couple that have already been played. If you're in the tournament, please play more. We are a little bit behind schedule, but we should have a couple of games going soon. So, L19 versus Double Tomcat. I believe my ally was playing as Blue Marines. Yeah, I think so. I was playing as Blue Dragons, so just a lot of blue everywhere on the side. And trading a Tomcat for that L19 is not really ideal because the Tomcat, generally speaking, my understanding is you need 2 in order to be most effective. So, not an amazing start, not a horrible start. We did force out another L19 buy, which means fewer troops on the ground, but, it was also double Tomcats. That's a lot of troops in the air for us as well. Now, SAS should be helping out with the Gamma here, but a little bit of a miss micro from Aeternant. There's a lot going on in the opener, for sure, and if these guys had been able to pop into that town a little bit sooner and gotten a missile on the way, maybe could have made a difference, but, it was really tight timing, so that sort of stuff, it happens all the time, where it's just not quite quick enough. Unfortunately, down goes my ninja, and, it's expensive. It's not the most expensive thing ever, but it is expensive, and so I'm getting established here in Delta. I'm going to be playing in Delta Echo. My ally is going to be playing in Golf, and we're going to see a couple of interesting things here. So, by the way, this is a bit of a jerk move. My H1T coming over here just to snipe some things in the reinforcement zone. This does happen, and if you're paying attention, you'll do exactly what the red team does next, which is you'll see something there died, and you'll immediately buy a unit that can counter this. Now, I actually think they were maybe a little bit optimistic here, but that's not the main point I wanted to mention. Let's look at Proleon 2's deployment. There's Paderborn C90, there's Tab 71s, we have a Hera here, there's a Gamma 2 that's forced out to deal with my H1T. Now, we will actually, I think we kill the first Gamma 2 as well, and the H1T's Vulcan is very, very nice. Not sure, it looked like almost a miss micro there on that Gamma 2, but I have double Kiyomarashiki. I came up here expecting a tank brawl in Delta, ready for that. I don't have many troops on the ground. Well, not high-end infantry. Anyway, I have Yebagun, I have M36s and JSDF Rangers. But let's look at how this goes, because over on this side as well, we're getting kind of stuck into it. Spax? Yeah, Spax over there, getting his Gorno Strelki absolutely ripped up by some FL12s and K1s. But here, it would have been nice to have a bit more recon, so we can see there's just the FL12s there. Oh man, dead Paderborn. The recon on these guys is okay. I mean, it's literally good, but good is only okay, and they're in one spot, so there's not a lot of ability to see what's really going on in the rest of Charlie. And over here, by contrast, I have Tukjunsa, JSDF Rangers, and I had that, I had the helicopter as well, the Ninja. The fact that it didn't stay alive for very long is sort of another issue. But there's been nothing really to fight my Kiyomaros, and I haven't made good use of them because I really was terrified of the Paderborn C90 side shot. But if we take a look at Proleon 2, there's no tanks. And tanks win the opener oftentimes. Tanks win the game oftentimes. If you can use them well, they will kill infantry, they'll kill other tanks, they'll kill vehicles, IFVs, anything and everything. A tank is a way to win this game, especially in 2v2s, 3v3s, 4v4s, where oftentimes it's basically a tank race. Who can put out more super heavies or heavies or whatever it is that they can to zone out part of the board the fastest, and that'll matter even more than things like Chumat or other sort of anti-tank tools, and you can see that right here. There's nothing to contest the Kiyomarashikis, and so all I have to do is get Yebagun up and forward, or Recon up and forward, these M36s even, there's nothing to stop them, and then my Kiyomarashikis can just go to town. So, that's all that is. I mean, yeah, there are ways of sniping tanks that are used like that, but, I mean, just look at this. Paderborn, well, there were Paderborn. I mean, the M36s got the kill, just because there's nothing there, and Entente has some very nice tanks. We see an M84A coming out, but a single M84A versus double Kiyomarashiki, that's not going to do the trick. So, at this point, I think if you didn't have a super heavy already, and you see double super heavy, you need to find some way of contesting it. And even a single super heavy with good support can win that fight. If you have good micro, if you have good strategic planning, you definitely can make a difference there. But, I mean, these Kyus are just kings of the field right now, and there's not a lot that can be done about that. So, because of this, Delta is blue, Echo is mostly blue, Tansem short arrows having a short arrow moment, that's double miss. See if we can get to triple miss. Yep, triple miss. Man, if you ever look at the accuracy on this thing, a quad miss is way more likely than you'd ever want. It's kind of hilarious. So on this side we have sort of stabilized. I think both Red and my ally Aeternant here have decided, let's take a little bit of time before we try this again. And the Cobra is nice as well. The Cobra will extend vision a little bit over on the right hand side, but oh yeah, Commando's Para, good. Now when you have this sort of position where you have fire support, try and get the Commando's Para up to inside of this tree line, because you can walk up and then you can also hop over here and get up to that corner, and you'll see a lot more. So just try and get your recon infantry as far forward as you can, especially when you have something like Cobra here, because I get that you're worried about the sneak. People will sneak around and through, they'll get into this section of woods and then over here all the time. But there's 2 Cobras here to stop that. That's really well more than enough. Pushing your recon forward, pushing some vehicles forward, and getting those tanks online and active will be even more important in terms of us winning this game. Now, on this side, MI35 is having some fun, and we're just zoning that out. Chumont, Kyoto WAPC for anti-infantry work, GSTF Rangers going forward because recon wins fights, recon wins games, along with tanks and things like that. Combined Arms is the name of Wargame Red Dragon, and yeah, I mean, at this point, this is going to be really hard. So, 78 points to 1 in favor of Red, but we're going to turn that around very quickly here. And, oh man, Motostrategy 90, VDV 90, everything caught in the open. Oh man, that sucks. You know, I've been there. Definitely have. Where you think your opponent is weak somewhere and you go in for it, and it turns out they're not. In the blink of an eye, you've lost, what, 80, 90 points? Nearly a minute worth of income, nearly a minute behind, only 7.5 minutes into the game from something like that, right? It's very rough. It's very rough indeed. Now, I do also want to point out, just in terms, because I'll probably get a comment on about unbalanced lobbies. I do so often when I play public games, or this one actually wasn't quite public. Aeternant and I were in Discord, but not on my Discord. We were actually on the Bootcamp Discord, and it's the first time Aeternant and I have played either with or against each other. He's a private. I figured, yeah, we could find some sort of balanced lobby here. And Spox and Proleon 2 didn't have the worst stats, despite the the Corporal on Proleon 2, unranked on Spox. Some people just don't enjoy ranked, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It does mean that it's harder to get a general sense of their skill level prior to the game. But Spox is the one that's over in Charlie, pushing into Golf, and he was giving Aeternant a bit of a hard time. So it may not look like that just in terms of trading, but definitely in terms of field position and the talking that we were doing during, Aeternant was... So I mentioned at some point, let's give him hell in Charlie, and the answer was not sure if he could because of the pressure coming into Golf. So, it's never too one-sided with that sort of communication going on of just, even if you're down on trading, if you're up a little bit on position. And Red is up on position in Charlie Golf at the moment, just because Blue is afraid to advance, and Charlie, so Red can attack in through the woods here, into the woods here, around the side, definitely having the initiative there in terms of just the ability to attack versus being forced to defend. So, Mortars going in after that Conqueror's M. I got a 203 SP online, just trying to get a little bit of 10 HE arty here. Blue Dragons, I think, really thrives with 10 HE arty support, and so I wanted that up as quickly as possible. I will notice here as well, there are some cargo trucks out resupplying this SAS. This and the short arrow are my anti-air net here at the moment. I don't really have much anti-plane. We are relying on the Tomcats for that, which have not had a need to come out again. So that's pretty nice. And if I had to guess why, I'd probably say that Proleon's far enough behind on the ground at this point that he didn't really feel like buying planes. And that's good. That's good analysis right there. Oh, this was really goofy. I want to show you guys this as well. AH1T, there's an OSA that's right here, but it can't see, and it's the most unfortunate thing. It gets stuck in the mud right there, and I approach so much here that it can't see me through the woods. There's no line of sight. And as I go left from the Osa's perspective, now there's less woods, and it can see me just for a moment there. It does get a hit, but oh man, that was just, you know, you bought the right unit, you got critted by the woods, there's nothing you can do about that, man. And so Proleon, if you're watching that, it was a good buy. It was a good position. If this hadn't gotten stuck in the mud, you wouldn't have had any trouble there. It just, you know, sometimes Wargame giveth, Wargame taketh away. So M91A V4, and this was a less than optimal engagement here. So the M91A is an amazing super heavy. It's one of my favorites in the entire game, to be honest. But it cannot go toe-to-toe against double Key Marushiki, in part because if we look at the Key Marushiki's stats, it has a high rate of fire, the 12 RPM there, 23 AP, and we were getting really close, so we were both punching above the stated AP on the card. So even though the Kiyomaru's armor is a little bit light at 20 front, it's just too much damage per second for that sort of thing. So yeah, that's going to be most of the game on my side. Proleon has surrendered. Then let's just look at what Spox does with that. He does have a large number of units here. He has a BMPT, second BMPT, Gorno, BTR 80, everything like that. What's missing? Tanks. Tanks will let you push, especially across open ground, with zoning tools, including things like the BMPT, by the way, because 2450 meter range on that secondary gun is a really nice HE option, but you still do need something to deal with the double K1 that's been here since the beginning of the game, and Red has not bought anything that can deal with that. And yeah, I mean, this is actually really clever, so smoking off those tanks, making sure that infantry can get through here, Spetsnaz, Monostroki 90, everything like that, it will get you up and into these woods temporarily, but it's not perfect. As we can see, the Spetsnaz are, you know, on 3 strength instead of 10 by now because of a little gap in the smoke. And then it also is just one prong of pressure. Far better to attack across the entire front at once if you can than just do that sneak through here. So something like, well, I think Spox actually, I played against him again later on tonight? Earlier on tonight, but later on compared to this. And he was buying a lot of T-80Us. A little bit uncommon in terms of Soviet tank choice, but a single T-80U would definitely outclass the K1 and those Recon AMXs over here. It would have been a nice thing to build a push around. And there's enough stuff... Oh, jeez. Stop. No. Okay. There's enough stuff back here that it could have been the backbone of a good push. Get the Gornostrelki, get cheaper infantry if you can, going behind it with those BMPTs, killing tanks with the T-80U, Mi-35 to back it up. Yeah, that's a full-pronged attack on golf. That would have been, I think, quite nice. So the moral of the story is don't be afraid to take tanks. In fact, take more tanks if you can, and especially in 2v2s, especially in big team games and things like that. Tanks will win you the opener, tanks will win you the game, as we saw in Delta Echo, just completely locked down for the blue team. So that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope to be giving you guys a tourney game sometime soon, and I owe a replay review to Donsky. It has been completed, it has not been uploaded, and we'll get that out to you as soon as we can. So thank you guys for hanging around. We'll see you again real soon.